As I collapsed from exhaustion, my mother's voice cut through the haze. "You owe us this," she said. Lying there, every muscle screaming from another 12-hour shift, I barely managed to lift my head. "I owe you nothing," I replied, my voice hoarse, final. My fingers hovered over my phone, and with one deliberate motion, I shut off the mortgage payment. Now, they were the ones panicking, begging, pleading. But I was done being their personal ATM. I came home that night as I always did, drained, depleted, and invisible. Another day spent grinding away, sacrificing my own needs so they could live comfortably. I had long stopped expecting gratitude, but tonight, something inside me had reached its breaking point. The moment I stepped through the door, I was greeted by the familiar sound of laughter. They were talking, relaxed, completely at ease. Meanwhile, I was unraveling. For years, I had shouldered every expense, the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, ensuring my mother and younger brother, Jeremy, never felt the weight of financial struggle after my father passed. There was no discussion, no agreement. It had simply been assumed that I would take care of it. And I had. Because that's what family does. Right. But somewhere along the way, their appreciation soured into expectation. Gratitude faded into entitlement. My sacrifices were no longer seen as devotion, they had become an inconvenience to them, a given. I was no longer their son. I was a walking, breathing cash machine. And tonight, I had finally had enough. Jeremy was sprawled across the couch, gaming controller in hand, eyes locked onto his pristine, top-of-the-line setup, the same setup I had paid for. High-end display, ergonomic gaming chair, a console more expensive than my monthly car payment. He had sent me the link earlier with a simple, infuriating message. "Buy me this." I hadn't even responded. I tossed my keys onto the counter with a sharp clatter. "Yo," I called out. "Did you apply to those job listings I sent you?" Jeremy didn't even look up. He chuckled, shaking his head. "Nah, they're all garbage. You wouldn't want me working some low-wage gig anyway, right?" My jaw clenched so tight it ached. Before I could respond, my mother appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dishcloth. "Oh, don't start pestering him, Aaron," she sighed, exasperated. "He's still sorting things out." "Sorting things out?" I repeated, staring at Jeremy, who still hadn't given me the courtesy of a glance. "He's 28. And he spends every day doing nothing." Jeremy smirked lazily. "Not true. I game." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Right. And you're just fine with me footing every single bill." My mother rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on, Aaron. You always blow things out of proportion. We appreciate what you do, really. But it's not like we're draining your bank account. It's only money." Only money. The words rang in my ears, deafening, like the final snap of a fraying rope. I had skipped dinners, cancelled vacations, lived in a cramped apartment while they enjoyed the comfort of a home I paid for. I had sacrificed my future, my well-being, my happiness, all so they wouldn't have to worry. Only money. I turned to Jeremy, my voice cold. "If it's just money, why don't you buy your own fancy setup?" For the first time, he froze. Finally, he looked at me, a smirk playing at the edges of his lips. "Bro, why are you losing it? You can afford it." He laughed like this was some kind of joke. And that was it. That was the moment something inside me shattered beyond repair. Let's see who's laughing when the bills start piling up. Silence. Jeremy's amusement flickered into something uneasy. My mother narrowed her eyes, waving a dismissive hand. "Aaron, quit it. You always say that, but you never follow through." I met her gaze with unwavering certainty. "I would." She hesitated, caught off guard. Jeremy sat up straighter, suddenly more attentive. "You think I'm joking?" I asked, unlocking my phone. "Let's find out." For the first time in years, they looked worried. They watched me in tense silence, my mother's arms crossing tightly over her chest, waiting for me to cave like I always did. Jeremy, ever the smug younger brother, leaned back with a lazy grin, certain I wouldn't go through with it. They thought I was bluffing. My fingers hovered over the mortgage payment screen. Just a couple of taps. That was all it would take. "Aaron," my mother's voice wavered, a thread of uncertainty creeping in. "You don't actually mean that?" I met her gaze. "Why wouldn't I?" "Because," she said smoothly, as if reminding me of something obvious, "you care about us. You wouldn't abandon your own family. A bitter laugh escaped me. Abandon? That's rich, Mom. I've never felt like this was my home. It's always been yours. Jeremy's. I was just the one paying for it. Jeremy scoffed. Oh, please. Stop being so extra. You like taking care of us. My stomach twisted. No, Jeremy. I liked believing that you'd grow up. That you'd become responsible. I liked thinking Mom would actually be grateful for everything I gave up for you both. I shook my head. But now I know better. And with that final thought, I pressed the button. Mortgage payment deactivated. Everything stopped. My mother's face went pale, her lips parting in silent shock. Jeremy's smirk vanished, his eyes widening as realization set in. I slid my phone back into my pocket, exhaling a long, steady breath. Let's see how amusing this is when the bills start rolling in. Mom recovered first, her voice sharp. Aaron, this isn't okay. I met her stare. I already did it. You're blowing this out of proportion, she snapped, her fake concern melting into frustration. You owe us. I let out a short, humorless laugh. I owe you nothing. She gasped like I had struck her. Jeremy shot to his feet. Dude, what the hell? You're seriously gonna let us go broke over some stupid fight? I looked him dead in the eyes. You're 28, Jeremy. Get a job. Panic flickered across his face. He turned to Mom, silently pleading for her to step in. Aaron, she said through gritted teeth, turn it back on. Now. I tilted my head, considering. Then I shook it once. No. For the first time, I saw it sink in. The truth. The undeniable reality that I meant every word. Their comfortable little world was about to collapse. I grabbed my keys and strode to the door. Jeremy scoffed, arms crossed. Whatever. Like we even care. I smiled. Oh, you'll definitely care. And with that, I walked out. The last thing I heard before the door closed was my mother whispering, "What are we supposed to do now?" They had no idea what was coming. And for the first time in years, I felt free. I'd step in if she was truly sick. But if this was just another guilt trip, I was done for good. I knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. Finally, the door creaked open, revealing my mother standing in the dimly lit hallway. Shadows stretched long behind her, cast by the weak glow of the overhead light. She was wrapped in a thick blanket, draped over her shoulders like a frail hospital patient. Her face was pale, her eyes rimmed red. She gave a faint, delicate cough and leaned against the doorframe as though the simple act of standing was too much for her. "Oh, Aaron," she rasped, her voice trembling with carefully placed weakness. I knew you'd show up." I folded my arms, expression unreadable. "What's wrong with you?" She coughed again, even more dramatically this time, then placed a trembling hand to her forehead, the perfect image of distress. I'm not sure," she murmured. "Probably just stress. All the pressure from the house, worrying about your brother. I can barely eat anymore." She sighed, the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. "I'm practically starving from all this stress." How fitting. My eyes drifted past her, into the house. Chaos greeted me. Stacks of unopened mail cluttered the counter. Take-out boxes were piled high near the sink, the stale scent of old food lingering in the air. The television was frozen mid-frame on some obnoxiously loud reality show. And then I saw it, an open pizza box sitting on the coffee table. Half the slices were gone. A can of soda rested beside it. Funny. For someone who couldn't eat, she certainly wasn't starving. I exhaled sharply. "Enough with the performance, Mom." Her eyes widened, playing the part of the innocent victim flawlessly. "What are you talking about?" "You're not sick," I said, voice steady. Her lips parted, another protest forming. "You just assumed pretending to be helpless would make me fold again." For a split second, I saw it, the slight twitch in her expression, the brief faltering of her act. But she recovered quickly, coughing once more, this time weaker, more pitiful. "Aaron, please. I just..." I stepped inside and shut the door behind me. "That's enough. This is pathetic." She straightened a little too quickly for someone supposedly on the verge of collapse. "You're being heartless, Aaron," she accused. "Do you even care about us anymore?" I met her gaze without hesitation. "Not anymore." She sucked in a sharp breath, as if my words had landed a physical blow. I did care, I continued, my tone unwavering. I sacrificed years of my life for this family. I worked non-stop while all you did was take. You called me selfish and ungrateful, but the truth is, you only ever loved the things I could provide. And now that I've stopped, you pull this. Tears welled in her eyes, shimmering under the dim light. That's not true, Aaron. We love you. No, I corrected. You depended on me. And now that I'm done carrying the weight, you're lost. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. For the first time, I saw something real in her expression, fear. A dawning realization that this time, I was serious. That this time, I wouldn't be reeled back in. Turning away, I walked toward the door. Figure it out yourself, Mom. She reached out, fingers grasping desperately for my arm. Aaron, please. I jerked away. Goodbye, Mom. And this time, I meant it. I stepped outside, the door clicking shut behind me. Even through the thick wood, I could still hear her trembling voice calling after me. Aaron, don't. Please don't walk away. I ignored her. The cool night air brushed against my skin, but I barely felt it. My chest was tight, not with anger, not with guilt, but with something else. Something I hadn't felt in years. Liberation. I slid into my car, gripping the steering wheel, breathing in deeply. It was over. Truly, finally over. No more exhausting myself just to keep their lives running smoothly. No more manipulative guilt trips. No more becoming the punchline while I gave up everything for them. I was free. I turned the key, the engine roaring to life. But just as I prepared to drive away, my phone buzzed from the passenger seat. I already knew who it was. Jeremy. For a moment, I considered throwing the phone out the window. But some small, foolish part of me still held on to the hope that he might change. That maybe, just maybe, he would say something different this time. I answered. What the hell, dude? His voice was low, dripping with bitterness. I can't believe you actually did it. I said nothing. He let out a harsh, humorless laugh. So that's it. You're seriously abandoning us? After everything? I exhaled slowly. After everything? I echoed, my patience wearing thin. You mean after everything I did for you? Oh, please, he scoffed. You act like you're some kind of hero. Newsflash, bro, you're not. My teeth clenched. And you're not a child anymore. Start acting like an adult. Silence. Then, quieter, he muttered, so what now? You think you're better than us because you finally grew a backbone. I almost laughed. No, Jeremy. I don't think I'm better. I just think I'm done. Another pause. His voice softened slightly. Mom's really losing it, man. Good, I replied simply. Maybe now she'll figure something out. You're really not going to help? No, Jeremy. I'm really not. He inhaled sharply, like he was preparing for another argument. But instead, he let out a slow sigh. Whatever, man. Don't come crawling back when you realize you're nothing without your family. I shook my head. No, Jeremy. Don't come crawling to me when you realize you're nothing without me. I ended the call. Blocked his number. Then, taking a deep breath, I pulled away from the curb. I felt no remorse. None at all. For the first time ever, I had chosen myself. 2 weeks passed. At first, the silence was unsettling. No calls. No texts. No manipulative guilt messages. My entire existence had always been wrapped around their needs, their crises. But now, for once, I woke up with only myself to care about. And I liked it. My bank account looked healthier than it had in years. I wasn't scraping by anymore, barely surviving paycheck to paycheck while keeping them afloat. I even took a weekend off, just because I could. Then, on the 15th day, I received a message from an unfamiliar number. Aaron, it's Teresa. Please call me. Aunt Teresa rarely reached out. She lived in another state, kept to herself. If she was contacting me, it had to be important. I called. Aaron, thank God, she answered immediately. I sat up. What's going on? She exhaled heavily. It's your mother. She called me sobbing. She says she has no idea how she's going to survive. She told me you stopped helping them, and now she and Jeremy are drowning in debt. I leaned back against the couch. Yeah. That sounds about right. Aaron, Teresa hesitated. She's losing the house. I blinked. What? She got the final notice last week. She begged me for help, but Aaron, I can't afford to bail her out. Neither can Jeremy. She's running out of options. I felt nothing. Not sadness. Not guilt. Just quiet acceptance. She always thought I'd come back, I muttered. She thought she could push me endlessly and I'd never leave. And now she's freaking out. Good. Teresa hesitated, then asked gently, So, what are you going to do? Without a second thought, I said, nothing. For the first time, their problems weren't mine to solve. And I was finally, truly free.